Before it became a city of death, Pompeii was a city of life full of sound, movement, and routine. The streets were alive from the first light of day, with footsteps, carts, voices, and animals moving through narrow stone road. Shops opened early, bakeries filled the air with the smell of fresh bread, and wine cellars called out to passers-by. Fountains flowed constantly, bringing water to every corner of the city and reminding its people that Pompeii was prosperous and secure. Homes were decorated with bright frescoes and detailed mosaic scenes of gods, myths, and daily life covered the walls, revealing a society that valued beauty, pleasure, and comfort. Wealthy villas stood beside modest houses, separated not by fate, but only by walls. Public baths were crowded and loud places of conversation. Business and relaxation taverns overflowed with laughter, arguments, and spilled wine. The theater echoed with performances that entertained citizens who believed the future was certain and predictable. Above everything stood Mount Vesuvius, calm, green, and silent, its slopes fertile and generous, feeding the vineyards and fields that sustained the city. Earthquakes had shaken Pompeii in the past, but they were remembered as temporary troubles, not as warnings. The ground moved, the buildings cracked, and life continued. No one living truly understood what a volcano was, or what it meant when it slept for centuries. Pompeii trusted the mountain, relied on it, and ignored it, believing that tomorrow would be the same as today. A belief shared by every man, woman, and child who woke that morning unaware that the city was already living its final ordinary day. Mount Vesuvius dominated the horizon every day of Pompeii's existence, quiet, green, and seemingly harmless, its slopes rich with vineyards, orchards, and farmland that fed the city and made the mountain feel generous rather than dangerous. People walked its paths, farmed its soil, and never imagined it as a source of destruction. Small earthquakes were part of daily life. The ground shook from time to time. Walls cracked, roofs creaked, and dust fell from ceilings. But no one fled the city. They repaired the damage, complained briefly, and continued their routines. Even after the great earthquake years earlier destroyed large parts of Pompeii and killed many, it was seen as a disaster already survived, not as a sign of something worse to come. Rebuilding became a symbol of confidence and resilience. Beneath the surface, however, unseen forces were gathering. Pressure grew silently. Deep underground gases moved through rock fractures. Widened wells behaved strangely. Water levels changed. Animals acted nervous and unsettled, but there was no language to describe these signs. Number science, no memory, no warning passed from generation to generation. The mountain had slept for so long that danger had become invisible, familiarity erased. Fear, and the people of Pompeii trusted what they knew, the land that fed them, the mountain that had never harmed them in living memory. Every sunrise reinforced the belief that tomorrow would be the same as today. Shadow of Vesuvius felt like protection, not threat, while beneath it the city stood unknowingly on borrowed time. The day begins like any other, with light over the streets and voices filling the air until the ground trembles harder than before, and a deep sound rolls from the mountain, a sound not like thunder, but heavier, slower, the earth itself breaking open. People stop and look up as a massive column of ash and smoke explodes into the sky, rising higher than anything they have ever seen. The sun disappears behind a growing cloud, and darkness begins to fall in the middle of the day. Ash starts to rain softly, at first like snow, confusing children and alarming adults. Then heavier stones crash onto roofs, streets, and bodies. Panic spreads instantly. Screams replace conversation. People run in every direction, unsure where safety is, because there is none. The air thickens. Breathing becomes difficult. Eyes burn. The sky turns black as night, and the city loses all sense of direction. Buildings collapse under the weight of ash. Tiles fall, streets clog, and the familiar world vanishes under falling debris. Parents search for children. Neighbors call names that are swallowed by the noise. Some flee toward the sea. Others barricade themselves inside homes, believing walls will protect them. Lightning flashes inside the ash cloud, turning the sky into a flickering nightmare. Hours pass like eternity as Pompeii is buried alive, layer by layer, sound by sound, breath by breath. The city that trusted tomorrow is erased in a single relentless storm from above. Inside the city, time no longer moves forward. It collapses. People are trapped between falling ash and collapsing walls. The air is thick and hot. Every breath burns the lungs and turns panic into exhaustion. Families cling together in darkness, holding cloth to their faces, hoping the nightmare will end soon. But it does not. The ash piles higher, blocking doors, windows, and streets, turning homes into tombs. Some pray, some scream, some sit in silence too. Tired to run anymore, bodies curl instinctively, seeking air warmth or comfort. Animals panic, chained, unable to escape, their cries mixing with the sounds of destruction. Outside, roofs collapse without warning, crushing those hiding beneath them. Others flee blindly through streets they no longer recognize, slipping on ash, falling, getting up again until they cannot. The darkness is complete. Day and night no longer exist. Only fear, heat, and suffocation. Hours pass, and hope fades as poisonous gases roll through the city, invisible and deadly, stealing breath in seconds. People fall where they stand, frozen in final moments of terror, pain, or resignation. Pompeii does not die in a single instant. It dies slowly, violently, and unevenly, each life ending alone, yet surrounded by thousands, trapped together in the same unavoidable fate as the city is sealed forever beneath the weight of the mountain. When the mountain finally falls silent, there is no victory, only absence. Where Pompeii once stood, there is nothing left to save, no voices, no movement, no fire, only a landscape smothered in ash and stone. Streets vanish beneath layers of debris. Walls dissolve into the ground. Roofs collapse and merge with the earth. The city does not look destroyed. It looks erased. The sea nearby reflects the sky as if nothing happened, while inland everything is still. Survivors who escaped do not return. There is nothing to rebuild, no landmarks, no bodies to bury, only a dangerous wasteland that smells of sulfur and death. Memory becomes the only trace of the city, and even that fades with time. People speak of a place that once existed, then speak of it less than, not at all. Years turn into decades, decades into centuries. Grass grows over hardened ash trees, take root in silence. Farms spread across the land, unaware of what lies beneath. Plows scrape stone without understanding. Roads are built over streets filled with frozen lives. Children are born and die above a city still full of people locked in their final breath. Pompeii is not ruined. It is hidden, sealed so completely that history itself loses track of it. The Roman world collapses. Christianity spreads. Kingdoms rise and fall, and still Pompeii sleeps untouched, unchanged, protected by the same force that destroyed it, becoming a time capsule of death and daily life, waiting without sound, without decay, without witnesses for nearly 2,000 years, forgotten by the living, yet perfectly remembered by the earth itself. Centuries later, the silence breaks by accident as workers digging channels and foundations strike stone walls, frescoes, and empty rooms, and slowly the shape of a city begins to emerge from the earth, at first misunderstood, then impossible to ignore. Pompeii returns not as a ruin, but as a moment in time. Perfectly preserved streets appear exactly where people fled. Shops still hold tools. Bread remains inside ovens. Graffiti covers walls with jokes, prayers, and insults untouched since the final day. Archaeologists uncover bodies, not as bones, but as shapes captured in ash. The hollow spaces left by decay, filled with plaster, freezing fear, pain, and surrender into permanent form. Children, adults, animals, all caught mid-movement, mid-breath. The city speaks again, not with voices, but with evidence revealing how people lived, how they loved, worked, ate, and died. Pompeii becomes a mirror forcing the modern world to look at itself and confront the fragility of daily life. The eruption no longer feels distant or ancient. It feels immediate because everything here is familiar. The disaster that erased Pompeii preserved it better than any human effort ever could. And as visitors walk its streets today, they do not just see ruins, they walk through the final hours of thousands of lives, stopped without warning, reminding us that civilization can disappear in a single day while memory waits buried beneath our feet, ready to return.